Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Potsmoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the unpublished manuscript, the Potsmoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Old Testament of the Hebrew Bible. I use the King James Version of the Christian Bible to put together the prophecy of Israel from the scattered testimony of the various prophets of the Old Testament. It is what became the Book of Zion, a book entirely written in Bible verse, the prophecy of Israel, as foretold 3,000 years ago. And contained within the manuscript, I found a set of instructions, which I was qualified to follow. So I did. I fulfilled every stipulation of the prophecy of Israel, up to and including the final act that I was required to do, which is to publish peace. In everything that I have done, I have been required to do without the use of money, which is why I have no sponsors, which is why I do not have commercial interruptions, nor shall I ever. It is literally against my boss's orders to do so. So, instead, I have been publishing peace on social media since 420 of the year 2020 in the form of the Potsmoker's Bible. And in keeping with my tradition, I am reading from the Potsmoker's Bible and the Book of Zion. I'm up to the 23rd chapter of the Potsmoker's Bible, which contains the 20th chapter of the Book of Zion. The chapter is called, And It Shall Come to Pass. And I'm beginning today's reading with a Bible verse, which is the next in our series of discussion. And it is as follows. Why sayest thou, O Jacob, and speakest thou, O Israel, my way is hidden from the Lord, and my judgment is passed over from my God? We, who are Jacob, i.e. Zion, and those of the blood, i.e. Israel, are both guilty of denying God. The recent allegations against the current Prime Minister of Israel illustrates the reality of this verse. And I am speaking from the year 2019 here. And of course, the drug users are famous for their denial of all things godly. So, neither branch of the family does right by God in our lives. Both of us seek union with our God, but we both miss the true God in our blind stumblings as we follow our separate, misguided paths. The Jewish people are so close to the truth. They honor God um, with their entire beings. They keep traditions alive. They seek the connection they lost, but they rejected God. They rejected the union on high. They lost the marijuana. They wanted to be like everyone around them. They chose a king. They have paid for that choice ever since. But my people have mistaken God for God and have rejected the ancient writings of the prophets. We have the connection that comes from the use of marijuana and other drugs. We love the union of the minds and the ability that higher powers give. We are totally ignorant of both, which is our true identity. And we are ignorant of our true nature. We have misjudged God and ourselves with them. Both houses of Israel act as though God doesn't see what is happening. We think God has abandoned us. We lack the fear of true judgment. Our ways reflect that of society. This is not acceptable. We are the priests and the blood relatives of Abraham and Sarah, friends of God. Hast thou not known, the passage says, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting Lord, the Creator of the ends of the earth, fainteth not, neither is weary. There is no there is no searching his understanding. This verse addresses the Zionite people, who truly haven't heard the sacred text, not only of the Torah, but of the other divine sacred writings of all the known religions. My people don't care about the holy books. They avoid them. So most of my people have not heard of the things contained in the books that were written especially for them. These books tell our story. Each one contains a vital piece of information. It's only by reading all of the sacred books that we learn the entire body of knowledge handed down to us from ancient times by the aliens that created us. All those who seek to learn how to use their telepathy abilities will have to study the sacred text, not as if we were idolizing an ancient myth, but as a textbook for understanding how we use telepathy. If you doubt me, let me explain. Confucius teaches us common sense so that we can be part of a social order. We must be moral in order to work together. Hinduism teaches us a social ordering that guides us from the lowest form of knowledge to the highest, allowing us a matrix to work within. We move between these levels of learning from lifetime to lifetime, always learning higher and higher levels of understanding. This is the cycle of evolution for the soul. As we are reborn again and again, we learn more and more about each part of life's equations. As we grow. We learn through karma how to evolve into higher forms. Each time we graduate from one cycle, we move up to the next level, and we have to start back at the bottom of that hierarchy for that level. Buddha teaches us the path to ascension. We learn to meditate, to let go of our physical self and find our inner soul. Tao teaches us to connect to the matrix. We learn about the powers of creation and how to work with them. All forms of tribal lore teach us of the spiritual world that shares our physical space. We learn of the forms of nature. We learn the ways of nature and how the spiritual world interacts with the physical world. Wicca teaches us the formulas set into our earthly matrix and how to direct the energies of this plane of existence. We learn to contact the next highest plane of existence, the spiritual plane, where all of our energies come from. We learn how to honor those higher spiritual beings. Voodoo, in all its forms, teaches us who those powers and personalities of the higher planes are and how to honor and work with them. It teaches us how to safely and properly channel higher forms of being. Shinto, the Japanese religion of ancestor worship, teaches us to honor who we are and to honor all those who have come before us. Family is sacred. Honor is sacred. To honor our past lives and the lives of those we interact with unites us with our former selves. Zoroastrianism religion teaches us of the difference between soul and body and spirit and tells us of the battle between good and evil. Wicca, again, teaches us how to use our spiritual energy and how to interact with the higher powers and the casting of spells. This is the spiritual warriorship, those that fight the battle between good and evil. Satanistic worship is the religion of those who have chosen the dark path of negative energy. Islam, uh, separating those who are from the light. Okay, you have to have the difference between the two. Now, Islam, the religion of the eldest son of Abraham, teaches us fealty to God. It is an amalgamation of local ancient beliefs and the teachings of Abraham, Isaiah's father. It implies purposefulness and loyalty. Judaism, whoops, sorry. Sorry. Christianity, it is an amalgamation of the mythology of the Middle East, embodying aspects of all known myths, but based on the messianic promise of Judaism. It was created in order to allow for the creation of our modern world. It embodies the concept of redemption and forgiveness. Judaism is the foundation of the final three religions. It is the transmitter of the pure bloodline, the transmitter of the genetic of the gray. This safeguarded the genetic priesthood of the pre-flood age. Abraham was the high priest of the age. He was the friend of God. He used marijuana in order to communicate with God. He was the last priest of his ancient religious line. His son Isaac was given marijuana. He worshipped God and knew him, but he wasn't taught the true ancient way. Jacob too used marijuana, but he was the last. His 12 sons no longer seen to use marijuana, except Joseph, who was elevated by God above his older brothers. He followed in his father's footsteps. Joseph, who was the last descendant of Abraham to use marijuana until Moses, who stumbled upon it as it was burning. This is the first reintroduction of the use of marijuana as a telepathic medium, but the children of Israel rejected God's voice. They rejected the telepathic gray form and the use of marijuana. Their children later rejected God in lieu of the human king. This rejection of God made Zion necessary. Christianity is a corrupted form of Judaism. It was the invention of a single man who created an idealized version of the Jewish Messiah in the form of a martyr that the Romans feared, namely Jesus. Jesus was the leader of the Essenes, a council of elders. They were planning to overthrow the Roman rule of Israel. They tried in AD 66 to AD 70, but they failed, and the religious order was wiped out. The Romans had knowledge of the entire Essene population. Saul, who called himself Paul, was what we would call a narc. He infiltrated the order, rose in its ranks, learned the location of all of the Essene strongholds, and then he created a new false version of Jesus as Messiah. So in AD 66 to 70, the Romans knew where to go to end all of the Essenes. The Jesus Christ we hear of today is a false narrative told by Saul. Everywhere he went, he preached Jesus Christ and added local lore into his storyline in order to win over followers. Christianity has continued to do this to this very day. I'm going to end there, and tomorrow I will pick up where I left off. May the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, and keep you from all harm. And may they teach you right from wrong. May you be worthy of them. May your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, the unicorn way. Find your joy and pursue it. Make that your guild choice. If you use drugs, stay happy and high. You have every right and reason to. Let's go camping 420. Let's make this happen. My name is Zion. I love you way too much to say goodbye. So I'm going to say later now.